Okay, so today we're going to start factoring out the b with your trig expressions. So when I'm looking at this problem, the idea is that you have a b and a c together, and we can't have that. So if you go back and you look at notes 4b2, this was the new form that we introduced, and the idea is that b needs to be factored out. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to keep the a out front sign, and then I'm going to take out the 2, factor him out, and that's going to turn into x minus pi over 4. So the idea is if I distribute that 2 through, there's my 2x, and over here would be 2 pi over 4, which is going to simplify down into pi over 2. So the idea is just factor that guy out and make sure that you have an equivalent expression from what you started with, and we're going to say plus 1. Now, your a is -3, your b is 2, your c is -3, I'll leave 2 lines for that guy, b is 2, your c is positive pi over 4, and then your d is 1. So this is going to be a vertical stretch of 3, flip over x. This is going to be a horizontal shrink of 1/2. This is going to be right pi over 4 units, and this is going to be up 1. So this is going to be multiply a and y. This is going to be multiply reciprocal of b and your x. This is going to be add pi over 4 to c, and this is going to be add 1 to d. So we're pretty familiar with those transformations. I'm not too worried. Over here, it's going to be our workspace. This is 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. This is sine, so this is the height of your triangle. So it starts off at 0, but you kind of follow that pattern. 0, 1, 0, -1, 0. First up, we do ABC order. This is going to be 0, -3, 0, 3, 0. We're going to take care of the 2, which is really going to be multiplying everything by 1/2. So 0, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and then pi. If you think about it, your b is 2, which means that's going to impact your period. So remember, when you find your period, it's 2 pi times the reciprocal of b, so 2 pi times 1/2, which gives you pi. You want to make sure that that pi, your period, matches your last x value, which it does. We're going to go right pi over 4 units, which is adding pi over 4 to each. So it's going to become pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, pi, and then 5 pi over 4. And last but not least, add 1. So 1, -2, 1, 4, and 1. This is going to be your final table of values. So we would put them over here, technically, if you were taking your test. What I do want to do before we actually graph that, let's go ahead and check. So go ahead and go into y equals, throw that equation in, make sure that you're in radians. We need to adjust our window. So I'm starting at pi over 4. And this time we're going up pi over 4 units each time. So we're going to look at our y values. So it should be 1, -2, 1, 4, 1, and it is. So it looks like that is good to go. When you are setting up your scale on your x-axis, remember that this is going to tell you each of those little marks. So 0, 0 is going to stay 0, 0, but this first one is going to be pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, pi, and then 5 pi over 4. And along this, looks like we'll do 1. Pi over 4, 1, pi over 2, -2, 1, 4, and then 1, and we'll go ahead and go out the rest of the graph paper. So the green dots are what you're getting from your table of values. The purple dots are the ones we're adding just to make sure that we are showing more than one period. And there he is. Do the same thing with this one. Start by factoring out your b. Remember, the idea is you'd be able to distribute that 3 through. and you'd still have the original equation that you started with. This would be 3 pi over 3, which would simplify down into pi. So it would still work, which is what we want to see. Your a is 2, your b is 3, your c is negative pi over 3, and your d is negative 2. So it's a vertical stretch of 2. Horizontal shrink of 1/3. You're going to move left pi over 3 units, and you're going to move down 2 units. Same thing we just talked about. This one's going to talk to y. This is reciprocal of b, and that goes with x. This is going to be subtract from your x, and this is going to be add to your y. Okay, so we're going to multiply all of our y values by 2. All of our x values by the reciprocal, so it's going to turn into pi over 6. This is pi over 3. Pi over 2, and then 2 pi over 3. This is where things get a little lovely. So we need to move to the left pi over 3 units. So this is going to be negative pi over 3. That one's not too bad. But I think of that as 1/6 minus 1/3. So it's going to be 1/6 minus 2/6. So it's negative pi over 6. This is 1/3 take away 1/3 or 0. 1/2 take away 1/3. So it's going to be 3/6 minus 2/6. So this is pi over 6. And this is 2/3 minus 1/3, which gives you pi over 3. Not great, but they are nice. So it's your final x's. For your y's, we're going to take away 2. So there's that, and those are your final y's. We'll set up our table of values again. So this one we got to be a little bit careful. 0 is where we're going to start in the middle. This is going to be our pi over 6, and this is going to be our pi over 3. Negative versions are going to go this way. So negative pi over 3, 0. Negative pi over 6, negative 2. Negative 4, negative 2, 0. So those are the ones from our table of values. Oops. And there's your nice cosine graph.